Background: we met while I was a year from finishing grad school. She worked but was in debt from an ex-BF, graduated, moved together to DC from my new job. I bought a house in my name. We married 2.5 years later. We got along great, shared activities and friends, started to talk about having kids, just made it to the discussion stage thankfully. 3 years after we wed, things started feeling tense around the house, summertime. It was odd BC, we never really argued, no money problems, but things felt off. We had a few minor spats, for no real reason, which was atypical. Mid-August, she said she was going away for the weekend, to a Delaware beach to clear her head. I asked if we could go together, no discussions, just relax and get back on track. She said no, she needed to be by herself. She said she'd leave from work Friday, be home after work on Monday. So Saturday I get a letter in the mail addressed to her from Howard Johnson Hotel in Virginia Beach. I opened it and it was a weekend room reservation, but not a Delaware beach. I called the hotel, asked for her room, and a guy answered. I asked if this was room XX, and he said no, room Y. I called the hotel back and asked for room Y. I was told there was no room Y. So I asked for her room again, and the X answered. I asked her what was going on. After some evasion and vagueness and denials, she admitted that she was there with a guy. I was in shock. Blood ran cold. This came hard and fast out of left field. I told her she needed to come home, and we had to talk, but she said she had the room and was staying for the weekend. I thought about driving down there, a 4-hour drive, but realized I was in no condition to do so. I was home alone, freaking out. Parents lived up in Boston. I just kept my shit together as best I could. Monday Eve, she comes home from work. Super tense. Lots of questions, few answers. I said we needed to do couple counseling. Figure this out. I still wanted a chance at fixing this. She reluctantly agreed to counseling after a while, but said she still wanted to see this guy. I said no, that wouldn't work. We need to deal with just us. She wouldn't agree. Decided to pack a few things and leave. We talked. A bit on the phone, pretty difficult, and she said she was going to move out. Here's where things have a happy under the circumstances ending. I had a week-long conference in London. In early September, a couple of days before that, she showed up with a couple of mutual friends, and a U-Haul, packed all her things and left. No issue with who kept what. She had her own car and bank account. I paid mortgage and utilities. My dad came down from Boston the next day to house sit while I was away and watch the cats. Had a fun time in London, and came back to a fresh start in my house that I now lived in alone. We did an uncontested divorce using a mediator, drew up a property settlement that basically reflected how we already split things. She didn't claim any part of the house or my retirement plan. She just left with her stuff. I saw her one more time when we met to sign the final divorce papers a year later. A pretty clean break. Unexpected and devastating, but clean. Karmic final, kind of extreme, but she stayed with the guy she had the affair with, met him through work. He services computers. I was told by a mutual friend that a few years later, he blew his brains out in front of her.